life.
Oh, those are just shocking things.
Okay, we
Am I
should start getting ready now.
Going live.
Hi guys.
In an hour.
Hi guys.
Oh, hey guys, welcome to the show tonight. And welcome if you are watching the replay. We have got a bloody awesome show for you again. Last week was a bloody ripper, but this week's going to be just as awesome. So cue Andy over to the intro. On the show tonight, we've got Rachel Lewis from the We Network. I just said to Rach, I swear to God, if people haven't heard about you and your community and your Facebook page, they've been under a bloody rock.
That's right.
So we're going to have an awesome show tonight, guys. Just like every show, we need you to ask us questions, give us feedback, but we're going to be talking about online communities. We're going to be talking about the mistakes that people make, but we're going to kick off checking in with P. What did you get up to this weekend, P? It was Easter, apparently.
So yeah, I had a great week. For the first time ever, I house sat a friend / client house while she went to Melbourne, and looked after her dog Enzo. So he's a black lab. He's a failed guide dog.
That's so cute. How do you fail? How do you fail as a blind?
He's too lazy. Too lazy, and he's too busy eating stuff on the road. You know, he's dangerous. But it was really good. Like I wanted to do it because obviously with Bryn, he's going to need a dog in the near future, and I'm totally not a dog person at all. So we decided I better start getting used to having a dog, and it was hard work. It was like, you know, having another baby, and I was just like, I've just nearly got one out of the house, and do I really want to have one? But he was good. The difficulty was, obviously, I look a little tired at the moment because he eats at 7 and daylight savings happened, so his 7 o'clock feeding came 6, and he was waking me up.
You're so funny. You're so funny.
Why? He was like making me get him up, and then he made me walk him like twice a day, so it was a bit of a struggle.
So you're not going to get a dog?
Not at the moment, but it was a good. I mean, I did love having him. He made, you know.
I got to meet Enzo. He was pretty cute, I have to say.
He was pretty good. And he's a good dog as well, so it was cool. I mean, Bryn loved him, so yeah, he was always walking him and stuff. So that was cool. And even better was the house that I was staying at was just around the corner of one of my friends, Amanda Betts, and I didn't know that she's moved. And it was a really nice surprise. The house had an Airbnb and had guests, and the guests that came had seen me speak at Go To Girl the year before. So she knew I was going to be there, but I didn't know she was going to be there. So she walked in and I was like, oh my gosh. So it was really cool. So Amanda came round and we did some heart speak. So I've got this beautiful kimono on at the moment.
Do a spin on your chair.
No, you won't be able to see it behind. But I'm going to put the photo of the back of it
it's really
in the
beautiful.
comments. It's amazing. It's beautiful. I love it. I tried it on because we were just trying stuff on, and I was sort of like, I'll try it on. But I was going to do a piece, and as soon as I put it on, I was like, that's mine. It was like instant. I want it. I'm having it. I don't care. I'm having it. So I absolutely love it. But it's got this beautiful embroidery, and you're going to see me wearing this all the time.
It's beauty.
Yeah, and that's sort of what else. Yeah, that's what I got up to. What about you?
So last week, guys, you'll know that I did something disgusting that I thought I'd never ever gonna do. I decided to detox off coffee.
It was bad. I met her. I just want to say, I saw her husband, and he was like, "Worst week of my life."
It actually must have been really bad because he must have said something to my dad because my dad was like, "Oh, Mike said you're a little bit grumpy this week." Dude, for full 7 days, full detox off coffee, one of the worst weeks of my life. I've never detoxed off stuff like that. I've never cleansed in my whole 21 years of my life. And it was pretty full on, but I tell you what, energy-wise, I feel amazing this week. Yeah. You know, it was just incredible how, you think you know what to do, and it's very similar to business, right? I know what to do. I know how to eat. I know not to have more than one coffee or no coffees. And until you actually go on a plan and actually stick to a plan and follow an expert, you go, this is how it's meant to be. So the coffee buzz is good. I'm feeling really awesome. So I'm pretty stoked.
Are you back on? The question is, are you back on coffee?
Yeah. So one of the reasons I did this is I knew that I could have a coffee after a week. So it was like, right, goal one, make it for a week. Yeah. You know, like, come on, Nat, 7 days without coffee. But man, the struggle was real. Like I know it's not the same as, you know, an addict to drugs, but I think it is because it was pretty horrendous.
Yeah.
But also I started netball again. I play club netball, go fresh, woohoo! And the reason I love playing winter netball is I'm a bit of a people person. Don't know if you guys notice that, like hanging out with people. And so when you work from home, it's a bit freaking boring. And then you're looking after people all day and you're looking after your children. So netball's back. We had our first training last night.
Brilliant.
I won't even be getting out after this off the seat when we're finished. And you know, one of the reasons I do netball is I'm not the most skilled player. I would win the award for most committed because I want to turn up, I want to be the cheerleader, but I'm not the best at it. And that's cool. I'm cool with that. So I get to be coached. I get to have to be triggered and work, on my mindset around having to get better because netball, you've got to have your head, your core, your feet, your arms. Like it's just...
Why would you do it? It sounds like a lot of...
Yeah, and you have to put on one of those dresses that you wore in high school, right? So there's been a bit of an incentive for a cleanse.
Yeah.
But it's cool. So I do it for the mindset drive of being, come on, you've got to go, knack, think, sharp, move. And so it's hard being told what to do. So I do it for that kind of weird reason now I've said it out loud. So I'd love to know if you guys do any winter sport. My mum thinks I'm far too old. I'm like, hell no, let's keep going.
You're not too old.
Yeah.
But you can do it. I'll just watch.
So that's me, really. That's me this week.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
You're going to intro our guests? I'm so excited.
So, obviously, Nat's already mentioned that we've got Rachel Lewis in the studio. I'm kind of excited to have Rachel with us. If you, as Nat said, if you don't know the We Network, where have you been? I know at the moment we are live in the We Network, so everyone who's watching in the We Network, comment, say hello. I know Monique's already commented and said hi. So one of the things that I love about the We Network, it's like the first sort of group that for me, and I've got tons of groups. I've been in tons of groups all over the world, but this one really, the connectivity of the people and the business owners, just there was something really special about it and the way that Rachel did it. And I swear, every client that comes through our office, that's the first place I'm saying the first thing is you've got to be in the We Network because
totally.
It's the relationships that you make with people, and it's such a safe space. And I just love the woman in there, and I really both of us wanted to have Rachel on so we could talk about this beautiful thing that she's designed, because it's not that easy to design something that is just so welcoming to so many people. So thank you.
Thanks for having me. Really exciting to be here. And it's nice to be on the other side of the interviewing setup because normally it's me fumbling my way along trying to stop myself from talking too much.
We can talk as much as you like.
It's really exciting, and it's just cool to hear from other people what they think of the group and how it's impacted them, and obviously it's different for me, and sometimes you get in your own head a little bit. I've found that especially approaching having a baby and what I'm going to be doing, we were talking about that before the show went live. It's funny because it evolves all the time, and I'm now thinking I have to remind myself there's a lot of people who are coming in who are still new. And originally I think part of the reason why the group grew so much was because I talked about my early journey so much, and I was so open about how many things I did wrong and how normal it is, and don't worry if you're feeling like crap because you feel like you're not going in the right direction and that kind of thing. It's absolutely normal to feel like that. But then I was still able to give people the hope that if you keep going, you will get there. Just don't take as long as I did. And that's why I started We, because I want my journey was like this, and I want your journey to be like this. And we've got all of this beautiful accessibility now from the internet. There's no reason to sit in that isolation, and so many women still do because they're scared to put themselves out there. or go to a networking night or meet people, they're worried about what that person's going to think about their business and how they've set things up or how badly they've set things up. But then you start talking to women in business and coaches and all the amazing people who could give you support. They don't care about what you're doing wrong. They care about what you're doing right.
Yeah,
and that's what the magic is, I think, is always focusing on what people are doing right and encouraging them to get from that space of earning less than $50,000 a year, which a lot of women are, and thinking I can do more, and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it with the support from other people. So yeah, I just wanted to speed it up.
That's actually one of the reasons why I joined the We really early on. I think it must have been 700. I don't know how many people, but it was, it wasn't as big as it is now. And it was one of the groups, and I watched your intro video. I don't know how I came across it. Someone must have been in it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to watch this video. And you gave me, I was like, Spice, you know how he's a bit fangirly when Rachel's around, but it's actually for real, because I'm like, holy crap, there's this local amazing woman who's doing this in New Zealand and giving us hope, and hope just is such a nice benchmark to go up from. So and like the same with you, having a community, a Facebook community online that was all about business, which wasn't all about doing about my stuff, it was all about the giving back and sharing the real journeys. So just disclaimer here, half the people who work in my business and half of the things I wear are all from We. Like I don't actually know how I existed before We. It's like it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how even though a lot of my clients, I don't know, I just find that that's one of the first places I go on the day.
Yeah.
Like, like I jump in, see what
have a wee.
So I'm sort of a bit of a, like, I don't comment or engage because I know that there's a lot of other women in there who can jump in and engage, but I always like to see what everyone's talking about or, what the issues are, and then if I have time I'll sort of comment, but I don't comment as much as I used to because
it's a good sign, it means you're busy.
Yeah, because I'm doing other stuff. But I really wanted to jump in just for those people who don't know Rachel. How did this all come about for you? I mean, what's your backstory? I mean, I know you told me something earlier that I had no idea. So, do you want to just... I know I I can't even say the word. Introduced you. But can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so I... have had a long business career, and We is my second business. I still own my first business, but my first business was called Kiwi Oz Nannies, and I started it just after I left university. We did a gap year, and we went skiing over in Colorado. I'd never skied before, so we thought we'd go over there for 6 months, and I learned how to snowboard. And while we were there, a friend of mine and I babysat for a babysitting company. And we were thinking, this would be quite a fun thing to do. Maybe we could make some money on the side doing this when we're in London or something, because we knew we were going to London next. And so we went to London and we ended up getting jobs as nannies and keeping the conversation going about it. And we decided to start a business running a nanny agency. And we called it Kiwi Oz Nannies, and we were 22 and we didn't know a soul. The internet was barely around because this is almost 20 years ago now. Not that I want to give away my age.
We're all 21 on the show.
It was. We were pretty isolated, and it was the. If you think you're doing things on a bootstrap budget, compared to what we were doing, is living in a flat with 15 other Kiwis in a 3-bedroom flat. Our desk was in the corner of our room. We slept together in the same bed. It was full on bootstrap mode, and we've still got the photo. If you're not doing this at the moment, I really recommend you start taking pictures. I mean, people do it more now because of Instagram and stuff, but we've got a photo of Lisa and I standing in the back garden of our flat with our first cheque that we received from our first client. And that cheque allowed us to place our first ad in a magazine, and that was how you advertised back then. And we got some more clients from there. So, and then from there, it was a really long, hard struggle for a long, hard time and we questioned ourselves for years and years and years. And Lisa came back to New Zealand and started Kiwi Oz here. So we've got a branch here in Auckland, and I stayed over in the UK for 8 years and ran that business. And many, many times right through that journey, we were questioning whether we'd done the right thing and whether we should just give it up. But then you're invested and, you know, all that kind of thing. And we never went to a business coach or had proper support, because London is a big place, and who do you go to that you can trust? We went to Portobello Business Centre, and that was a bit of a flop, and I think it kind of put us off and made us think, well, we're just going to have to figure it out on our own. And we certainly had some amazing clients, because we dealt with a lot of corporate women and people in big jobs and celebrities who backed us and were like, gosh, you guys are doing something incredible. So and we got some help from them. But essentially we were doing it on our own, and we didn't really know anyone else who was in business. And so when I did come back to New Zealand, and I thought, there's so many people who are doing what we did purely because they're scared to tell people about their business, that they're not quite sure perhaps what their actual dream is and where they want to go. And for a long time I just didn't like to verbalise what I was doing in business, because I wasn't 100% sure, I guess. And so I just thought maybe we could create a space here with the internet that is going to give some other New Zealanders that potential to do it faster than us, because you don't need to be going through all those hoops alone anymore, because we've got the internet, and we've got, you know, networks that we can create through the internet that can help you build that self-belief.
Do you know what I love about your journey so far? I've just picked it up, is you've got a theme. Haven't skied before, just going to give it a go. Haven't run a business before, haven't been to London before, oh, what the hell, we'll give it a go. I'm going to come back to New Zealand, I'm going to open this, oh shit, I haven't done it before. And I'm like, dude, that's cool, that's like trailblazing. And you and I were talking before about, you are that, I said big picture thinking, and you said, yeah, now I'm a dreamer, which is a much better way to say it. But I think that dreamer in you, that let's just give it a go, pioneering in you, is exactly what we needed for the leadership. So someone just said they remember seeing the ads in the TNT magazine.
Kiwi Oz. That's hilarious. Yeah, and we also advertised in the Lady magazine. It's so funny because I look back on that early journey, and I think I know so much more now. And this is one of those things, if you're out there and you're just starting out in business, we were talking about this at one of our meetups today. You don't know what you don't know. And one of the beautiful things about this community is that people will ask a question, and you'll be like, oh, someone said the other day, I don't even know what a sales funnel is. It's like, okay, well now I'm going to go and have a look and see, because I need to know about that. Or you're just in a space where people are a little bit ahead of you sometimes, and you can learn and absorb from them as well. But we made a lot of mistakes, like even with things like advertising in the Lady magazine. It's not our target market. The Lady magazine is full of...
Such a funny name though, the Lady.
Yes, well it is. It's very high. It's very high net worth, traditional English people, and they like the idea of having a Kiwi. There's a real clash really, because they love the idea of having a Kiwi or Aussie who will muck in. Like that's a real brand kind of thing for us, is we'll muck in. But Kiwis and Aussies, of course, don't want to feel like they're staff, and they're not used to that. Whereas British nannies are, you know, traditionally there's a staff structure over there. So
as opposed to a Kiwi would be sitting on the couch with the family going, hey, what's for tea tonight?
Yeah, well, it happened to me with one of my jobs, and I was like, well, hang on a minute. I'm not used to being treated like this. Like, I'm used to actually being treated like a person, but it was just that, it wasn't that they disrespected me or anything, it was just that there was a line between staff and family. And Kiwis aren't used to that, so there were a lot of problems with Kiwis and Aussies and those types of families trying to work together, because it didn't always gel. But there we were advertising in the Lady magazine to clients who were going to be like that. But if we'd have known more about our brand and our target customer and all of these things that you see so much about learning about for your own business online now, we wouldn't have been bothering to advertise there, and we don't now.
You know how you've had that journey to get to the to what you love doing now? Because I always say to my clients, you have to go on a journey. You can't deny the journey. So yes, we can give you structure and give you ideas and hold your hand and take you through it. But if you try and fast track the journey of learning, of being on the days where it feels rough and just mucking in, you wouldn't be able to then, we all probably wouldn't be able to be where we are now if we hadn't had the ups and downs. I just call it the journey. Or I've had a failed business before, and I know if I hadn't had that, I wouldn't be able to share as I do now. So just out of interest, P, if you
that's-
had that.
I mean, I think that's one thing, when you start a business, you think, I'm going to make $15,000 a month.
Yeah, man.
And I'm
like
going to
straight
do
away.
it in 3 months. And then you get 6 months down the track and you're like,
Really
I can't even
disheartening.
rub $2 together, I can't buy milk, you really start doubting yourself. But I think it's a mistake we all make, we just think it's going to be really, really easy. But, the hardest job is to run your own business.
But that's where part of your drive comes from, right? Is you want to be able to fast track women to be able to make beyond 50k.
I'm so mad at you, Rachel, because seriously, where were you 5 years ago?
You're so rude.
Do you know what I mean?
Well,
I watch everyone go through the journey. I'm like, oh man, I remember when I thought the same question and I had no one to help me and I had to teach myself how to do it. And I think that's the great thing about the We Network is it's just this one, there's a whole lot of women in there who are eager to help you at a drop of the hat. Just say, you got to do this, this and this, or you've got to hire this type of person, or and it's just such a wealth of knowledge in there, and everyone is willing to just blah blah blah.
And, the technical knowledge in that group astounds me. Someone knows something about
someone said something the other day,
and
I was like,
wow.
It was you did a comment about something and I was like, whew, I didn't even know what that is. It was something about, I don't know, it was something about
Wasn't it the tripwire? That was a funny
yes,
one.
it was the tripwire. And I
was like, what?
And I was like, I was
it
reading
is
the
a terrible
comments.
word. Actually, I meant to go back to that because someone else commented and said, I just hate that terminology.
I'd
and
never
it
heard
is terrible
that
terminology,
before.
but
I had
it
to
does,
read.
it does, it's a great option to use. And if you haven't heard of a tripwire before, it's offering someone generally a limited time, quite limited time, like you've got 15 minutes to decide. So if they land on your website, and maybe you sell an online product or something, and you might say, well, look, if you're interested in the next 15 minutes, you could sign up and get this for $17 or whatever it is. And it'll be a really practical, easy to implement, solving a problem product that is then going to give someone the opportunity to think, oh, wow, she really delivered with that. I love it. So maybe I am going to go back and pay for that $297 product or whatever it is. So it gives people, as the service provider or the business owner, it gives you that insight to know, well, this person's actually become a customer now. So I've taken that relationship one step further with them. They're potentially interested in buying more. And then from the customer's side, you get a really good insight into how much that person is going to give to you for a low cost price.
I'd never heard it being called that before, so I read every single comment because I was like, oh, I know what that is. But I'd never heard that terminology.
It's not a nice term because it's makes you feel like you're tricking people.
We've just got people here saying, the wealth of knowledge and expertise in the way is refreshing without the hard sell is divine, which I think is you've got the perfect balance for that.
That's cool.
You mentioned before about your journey with Kiwi Oz, and then one of the reasons you set up We was about how women don't want to talk about their business. They don't want to go and put themselves out there. So I'd love to know, because as you know, it's one of my passions of mine is to get people to get out there and take the imperfect action. I'd love to know from you, why do you think Kiwi women in particular hold themselves back?
Well, maybe it's
commercial break.
Blank. It probably is a little bit of a cultural thing because a lot of the time Kiwis are, what's the word I'm looking for? Not refined. Quite. They talk themselves down a lot. But when you're abroad, you see if you want to make it, you have to be prepared to push yourself out there and be different. And I lived in Australia as well for a few years before, 2 years before we moved back to New Zealand. And that was a really good lesson in business because the Aussies are out, they fake it till they make it, kind of like the Americans. Whereas I guess the Brits and the Kiwis are a bit more kind of reserved.
Humble.
And look, that is great because I think it gives us authenticity and it gives us, that's probably one of the reasons why the We group is a bit different to other groups, because purely because of the authenticity of personality that comes through, not just from me, but from everyone that I attract, because I'm like that, and people in New Zealand are like that.
Yeah.
So I'm a real Kiwi. You know, oh my God.
What do you mean I'm the
Did
star?
I just say that?
This is on camera recorded.
Oh no! If I even read, I'd probably be doing it now, but I don't tend to. But I am, and I think that's what resonates with people, and so it's a blessing and a curse, because it does give you that authenticity and that empathy for other people, but it also means that a lot of people are shy or sceptical of people who are prepared to put themselves out there. So I guess part of the thing about we is that having had that balance of knowing I've got to put myself out there, but I've also got to do it in a really humble way, so that I don't ostracize people and make them feel like, well, she's just someone who's out there talking the talk and not walking the walk. Or,
totally. That's such a big thing.
So I mean, what I see a lot with people in we is that they've got wonderful business ideas, but they just don't have that skill base yet to understand how to communicate that to their customers.
Yes.
And potentially they haven't developed their product suite enough, their strategy around what they're going to sell. And a lot of people, we were talking before about working backwards, which is what I always like to say.
You obviously are really naturally good at that.
And we didn't do that with Kiwi Oz. So am I naturally good at it? Don't know. I'm just a second time business owner who knows better the second time around.
Yeah.
And that's I guess one of the things that I want to help people learn is that when you're starting out in business, it's really, really hard to think one day this could be $1 million business and envisage what that would look like and feel like, because you're trying to work off $1,000 to spend or something.
I'm making
like,
zero.
How does this get to that and actually happen? So it's very hard to put yourself in that place where you can dream, but it's so important to dream, because when you do and when you do dream and visualize, you make things happen. And you create that space to allow yourself that dreaming and that visualization, and even walk yourself through a day in the life of your perfect life when your business is giving you your perfect income. What does it look like? Who are you talking to? What are you doing? What are you not doing? All that kind of stuff. And how much money am I earning? And that would be my perfect day. Yeah. And you know, and for as opposed to Kiwi Oz, where we just kind of knee-jerked the whole way along, thinking we just need more clients. How are we going to get them? We just need more customers. With we, I went backwards and I thought, well, this is what an amazing end product would look like for me and for New Zealand and the businesswomen here who need that help, and work backwards from it. And then also, because we were talking before about getting to that point where you're thinking that you're going to make $15,000 a month and you don't, and what then? But also tapering myself and thinking, well, I know we're trying to start a family. It's going to be a bit of a rough ride. What happens if I do get pregnant?
Too late, Rach.
Thank goodness. And balancing that with being the realism of being a woman. Yes. And wanting to grow a family, and having business plus family, and knowing for me that family always comes first, and for most women I think that's the same as well. So how do we manage that? And that's a really unique problem that we're all facing together as a community, and you guys are probably all going through that as well at home. You know, a lot of you will have kids and will be struggling with that overwhelm, and you know, it's that common question when you say what's the biggest problem, and everyone says time. But what I've learned is that, you know, time isn't necessarily your biggest problem, because when you're working really strategically, you can get a lot done in that time, and that's what happened with for me.
So can you take us to that? So let's go back to when you first started and tell us through the journey there, because then I'd love to ask for us to go, this is me being bossy, then go to tell us now where it's at with all the delegation, and share that really cool.
So I was telling these guys before we went live how I keep meaning to reshare it, but I forget. When I first started the Facebook group, I just thought I'll start connecting with people and see what they want, and see if I resonate with people, and see how it goes. And so that's what I did. And the first 3 months was really just about, you know, talking to people. And funnily enough, as you say, I'm one of those people that just think, so I'll just do it and see what happens. And I started the Facebook group, and I think 3 weeks later we went off to Europe to visit my family over there for 6 weeks. And so we were pottering around over there in Europe, and I was thinking, oh, it's gone quite quickly. And I was saying to my husband, I might need to do a little bit of work today, and he was not very happy about that because we're on holiday, but it was cool because the momentum was happening and stuff. But it was all a big experiment, and I was okay with it. I knew I wanted to work with women in business, but again, this is the beautiful thing about the online space, and also once we moved to Sydney with Kiwi Oz, I got interested in the online space and online products, and I was just learning a little bit about it. We created the Trainee Nanny Certificate, which is a $97 product for people who want to go overseas and work as a nanny but don't want to do the full training, and what do I need to know? And that's been a great little seller for us. And that was my first foray into the fact that I knew that I could make online products sell. And then so with Wee, I thought, well, let's just see what happens if I offer to everyone that I'm going to create a product. Like, I'll tell everyone this is what I'm thinking about. And so I did, and that's how we sort of came up with a concept. And I'd seen similar clubs overseas and memberships and all that kind of thing. But basically what I wanted to do was create something that had a big impact for as many people as possible. For a low cost. So I knew I was working with a tough market because my market doesn't have a lot of money. So I'm not working with corporates, I'm not working with small to medium sized businesses who've got a budget of $10,000 to spend on this or that. I'm working with solopreneurs that very first rung on the ladder. So I knew financially for me to make it work, it was going to be a bit of a test to see if people would pay for the product that I wanted to sell. So I set myself some targets. And I just thought, if I can make $100,000 in my first 12 months selling a membership, then I know that I've got something that is potentially going to be a feasible long-term business, scalable business for me. And so that's what I set about to do.
How long did you build the community first before you went to build those targets?
Yeah, so I started the community in June 2016. So it's been almost 2 years.
2 years. Party time.
And then I launched the VIP Members Club in December. Or was it January?
It was longer.
Yeah, it might have been January 2017. It's been just over a year. So it's been about 15 months now since I launched that. And yeah, I mean, thank you to everyone that signed up, because it was literally at the time, hey, you guys, this is what I'm thinking. This is what it might be like. If you want to come on as a founding member, it's only ever going to be this much money for you. I'm never going to charge you more, because thank you so much for coming on board with it and believing in me. And we had like over 100 people sign up for that first launch at $97 each. So I made over $10,000 in a week with that product. And then together we've worked on it, I guess, over the course of the last 12 months. And it has had its definitely ups and downs, and there's tricky things. And I think there's definitely things that I tell people who are thinking about creating online products or memberships. The thing about Wee is that it is a community, and I have to keep coming back to that. Like, the heart of it is that it's a community-based product. So it's there for people who want more community, more support, more conversations like this, more access to people like this. But it's not a product that's going to solve your immediate problem. Like, I can't solve everyone's individual one-to-one problems through one platform, and that's really frustrating for me, because I really want to be able to do that, especially when I see people who are struggling, because that's what it's all about. But the amazing thing is, with this community, is what you guys were saying before, is that there's so many other people that are doing all of those kind of things. Like, the number of messages I get to say, hey Rach, did you know that I just wanted to let you know that this person reached out to me and has spent like an hour or something with me for
that's
nothing,
amazing.
just because of this,
that's
or just because of that. I'm just like blown away that that's what's being facilitated through the group, basically on our community's behalf. And if we can make a difference and get some of those, I think we were saying before, there's like 150,000 women in business in New Zealand, and I think probably the vast majority of those would be earning somewhere under 100,000 a year, a lot of them potentially a lot less. And if we can have a real impact at that level, then that's just going to benefit our economy, it's going to benefit our communities, because our women are going to have more time to go back to doing things for their families and communities and not spending their time on their business all the time. It's a real struggle for women.
You've got a really strong why, like, do you know what I mean? Like, you connected in there, like it's a community level, it's going to impact, nationwide, and people in the homes, which is amazing. And I think it's really important that you have your why and connect into it. I just want to make a point that you just had then, because I love it so much, and I love that you were open to it, or just mentioned it, that business is an experiment. And sometimes you're going to get it wrong, and there's always a version 1. There's always the, hey, founding members, you're going to have this price because shit, I don't know what's going to happen when we head in here. And so I always say to my clients, or prospective clients, you've got to take the imperfection. You've got to start. You just have to start. And I think that's amazing that you've been so open about that. Is that not saying that you didn't know what you were doing, but you were just like, hey, I'm just going to give this a go and see where it takes me. And I think it's really important for you guys to hear that message tonight. Is that, and you also heard it from Fee last week, and you hear it from me and P, is that you just got to start. So I really appreciate you hitting that home, because I think it's really important.
And then I think following from that as well is they have, the reason, one of the reasons that holds people back from doing that a lot is that fear of, well, what if people don't like it, or what if something goes wrong, or so much has gone wrong with me. I've had, it's a funny thing, because we have, you can promote your business in the group on Market Day on Thursday. And we just sort of threw that in because people were saying, oh, that'd be awesome, that'd be cool. But then of course you get people coming in so that's changed my target, or has, pulled me away from who my target customer was, because now I'm getting a lot of people who want the exposure. And then you're getting sponsors contacting you saying, do you want, would like to talk to you about this? And I'm like, well, actually, is that at the heart? What are you doing for the community? For me, it always comes back down to, and I'm lucky because I've got my income from Kiwi Oz, and I'm not totally reliant on this. Like, I can make those decisions where I'm not pressured to say yes to financial, short-term financial gain for the business, in order to, I can say no to things.
I love that. I love that you've taken, because so many people will just go for that shiny thing and not actually think about the community as a whole and how this affects them by just infiltrating with all the, once you've got a community and it's a really good engaged community, some businesses don't realise how long it's taken and how much work to nurture that community, and if you put a whole lot of products in there and sponsored them all, it would ruin the whole feeling of the group. So that's really good that you've taken that angle.
And I think a learning that I've had along the way with business, because we dealt with a lot of unhappy clients with Kiwi Oz as well, because having a nanny is a really personal experience and it doesn't always work out. And of course, if it doesn't work out, you go back to the agency, and depending on the personality of the family, sometimes you just get the full whack of the blame of that. So I had many years of dealing with, difficult client situations and agonising over how to email people back and getting the right tone and all of that kind of thing, like to mediate, really, I guess, is the word. And I think what I've learnt with that with customers is it doesn't matter if you make a mistake or someone doesn't like a part of your product, or someone might sign up and for example, people might sign up and they'll think, oh, there's local groups, and then they're like, oh, hang on, there's no group in my area. Well, Rachel said on the advertising that there's local groups, and it's like, okay, well, no, there's no local group in your area, but we do have online meetups. A big part of it is this, but I'm not going to go back to that person. This is the old Rach would have gone back and tried to justify it and say, this is why it is like it is. The old Rach, the new Rach tries, really, really hard to sort of say, actually, you're right, I didn't communicate that well enough. And my leader, like, you guys should know where the groups are, and if it's for you, and if there's not a group in your area, is it still worth you joining? Because that's a question that's in their mind, and you learn that as you go through the process. But it's about being open to communicating that to people, and then you can create. And I remember the very first VIP, I had a VIP who came back, who was a founding member, who came in and said, oh, I just don't think it's for me. And I said, no problem, I totally understand it. I think she might have given me some feedback or something, and then I just tapped on a cheeky at the end. I guess it's just my mission now to get you back in the club. And then she was like, oh my gosh, you've just changed my mind.
I'm back.
So and so, but people are not everyone is going to not everyone is going to love the product or service or whatever that you've got. You just have to always, you're a solopreneur. You can't be perfect. Yeah. And I think you have to let go of some of that perfection and also build in the right expectations. So I knew I knew my capabilities. I knew that if I had the right product and I set it up right, I could reach my target in that first 12 months. But of course now I'm pregnant, I'm easing back on my targets, I'm changing my strategy, I'm doing things that are going to mean that I'm not going to make as much income in the next 12 months. But one of the lessons that I learned with Kiwi Oz is when you pull yourself out of your business, you learn a lot. And it can be really great to give yourself that downtime and space away from your business, even if you're not earning the income, to make really good decisions about where to take it in the future.
So tell us...
So guys, just quickly before Nat
talks
over me again, for those who are watching, I would love your feedback and I'd love questions. If you guys have questions for myself, for Nat, awesome. And of course for Rachel, this is the time to ask them so that we can answer them. So what's going to happen is Nat's going to ask the next question, and why you guys are talking, I'll be surveying all the
questions.
I never get the right camera.
The red heart.
Oh yeah, but I don't. Was I on the red heart? Oh yeah. So answer your questions, and we'll get to them in a few minutes. So now you can go.
Oh no, but if you have questions too, though, Pete, because I think someone grows to digress. I'm like,
you're asking the question. I know you're going to ask the question I want you to ask. So.
What is it?
Oh,
what is it? It's just oh no, I forgot. Actually, and touch on another point. A cool club. You talked about clubs in a community. I did a post today about I wasn't. Some people think that I was born this confident. It's not the case. Wasn't your nickname when you were little? I saw you that post. Yeah, Natty Fatty.
Natty Fatty. And I was like, I cannot imagine you being fat. Like, I was like, that's so bizarre.
It's intermediate age, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Pudgy.
But it was all about cool clubs and people, and my daughter says it now, that girl's, she's cooler than me. And I'm like, what? And so, of course, I get all like, what do you mean? Because that's part of my story. And so for me coming out and, putting myself out there means that I'm fighting against that in a story of I'm not the cool kid. And that's why I work so hard at it, so that when people try and say to me, Nat, blah, 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 I'm like, well, I've done it, so you've got to do it. Anyway, the point is, what I love about the We community is we can all be cool in there.
Yeah.
Do you know, like,
there's
we all
no hierarchy in that group. Like, I certainly don't feel like the odd fish.
And that's really hard to do in an online group. That
really
we all get to celebrate a win. We can all go in there and go, oh, I wonder if I go in there, someone will go, oh, bloody hell, Nat's back blowing a trumpet. I don't feel... But we say that to each other's faces.
Yeah.
I don't feel that in there, so I just wanted to say that's really cool.
Oh,
it's a cool club for everyone to be.
Yeah, it's a big
and I'm pretty sure everyone else
Thanks,
in the community,
every show I knock my thing out.
Everyone else in the community feels the same way. Like the women in there, they all,
we've got questions.
Of course we do, because I initiated it.
Hey Rachel, how do you go about getting new members to join your free community? Is it Facebook ads? ?
Yeah, I have tested Facebook ads, and again, I'll just people think because We has done well quite quickly that I've got all the answers, and I just want to tell you right now that
don't you have them?
No, I don't. Sorry, Nat thinks I've got all the answers, but I don't.
So do.
But no, I do a lot of testing, and it is an ongoing experiment for me, and it's a learning journey. I really believe in, because I believe in community building, and I've seen how much community building can impact the growth of your business. My biggest thing for bringing in new people is always trying to focus first on the people I've already got. Don't forget about your existing customers. If I was thinking of business like a triangle of where you're spending your most time, your existing customers are the ones to be spending it with, because they are your golden ticket, because they don't cost anything because you've already got them. So I treat my members well so that they tell other people about it, and that's when people are just getting added to the group, because people are, and I don't go in, I very rarely go into the group and say, hey, add your friends if you think they're going to like it. I could do. I should probably do
I
it
don't
more.
I don't actually think you need to do that because I think everyone is talking about it anyway. There's almost this, I was at something and someone was behind me. She was like, "Are you part of the Web Network?"
Yeah.
And I heard this little conversation
cool.
about it.
So yeah, if you're looking at growing a Facebook group, I think it's a blend. And I have tested Facebook ads, and I have actually just run ads that have just said, come and join our free community for women in business in New Zealand. Obviously that has a big impact because it's free.
Yeah.
So it's a great lead magnet for people to get to know me. But then once they're in there, that's where the magic happens. And that's, I think, one thing that I've learned along the journey as well, and I'm still learning, is because I've had less time and because I'm having the baby, I'm not doing, I was saying before, as many lives, and people aren't getting to know me as well in the group. New people.
Good timing tonight.
And so tonight, this is why I wanted to come, because I knew that some people would watch and they might not have known my story or understood what makes the community what it is, whereas you guys have been there for longer.
Yeah.
So you get it. But I think one of the things with having a community is that what a community is there was definitely a point in the journey when the group overtook me, and it was no longer about me having to post all the time and me having to say this and that. It was other people were doing that for me and creating that vibe and creating that nurturing community and that sort of authentic storytelling journey, and it's a great place to practice. And that's why I think with that Cool Kids Club thing, for me it's really important that those people that aren't that confident feel like they've got a voice.
Yeah, it's important.
So that's something that I do try to encourage people to do if they haven't posted before, is to go in and post and share a little bit of their story if they're not doing that, because it's a good safe space to do it.
It's a great place to tell your story and like show what you're doing in business. And what was really cool is like I shared in the video I did of my morning. And the feedback was so cool. I wanted to do the whole day, but then I got so tired from videoing myself. I was like,
mission. Yeah,
actually,
you did a good job.
Yeah, but and then in watching it back, I was like, man, and Nat's like, I didn't think you worked hard enough.
She goes, hey Nat, did you see my post? I'm like, dude, all it looked like you did all morning was like, type.
I was working.
But actually, that's what it must look like to outsiders. That's actually what you do. We've got more questions, team.
Yeah,
so
great.
we're going in. Okay, thanks, Heather, for that. Taryn, so she's actually, hey girls, I'd love to know if there's a good strategy to closing a business and opening another, meaning one business closing and rebranding new services into a new business.
That's a difficult
Taryn,
question.
we might.
Yeah, Rachel?
No.
I'll just do it.
Yeah,
just throw some spaghetti at the wall.
I did. The reason why I say that is I actually read something the other day about a business owner who had done just that. She was thinking, she'd been toying with it in her mind. She kind of had an idea, and her hindsight was, I should have just done it sooner. Because she knew it was niggling at her, and she had an inkling that it was the right thing to do, but she was hesitant to do it. I guess you just have to ask yourself, why would you not? And
it's not that difficult, Nat. Like when you think
I
about
had to kind of do it.
Rebranded.
I had to do it very abruptly.
Yeah, and the more you stress about it and worry about it, just do it.
Yeah, I think
it does depend. It does depend. No, sorry.
Sorry, I thought you'd pause.
It depends on what type of business it is and how many customers you've got to sort out as well. You can't, you have to look after customer care as well and sort of guide them through as well. I think but it's a hard one. Do it.
Depends on how far through you are at the moment and what you've got invested in that name. Like for us, for Kiwi Oz, for example, we never liked the name. We tore ourselves to pieces trying to think of a business name. That's it. And we inadvertently chose a pretty tight niche, and we didn't even know that we'd done it.
Yeah.
People that want Kiwi and Aussie nannies who live in London is pretty tight just on its own. And the name says what it is. And now that we're bigger, we know a little bit more about our values, the type of things that are important to us as a company with our culture, and the type of families that we want to attract and all that kind of thing. We probably could rebrand and do it successfully under a more generic name that would lend us to more growth. But it's still quite a big consideration for us because Kiwi Oz is kind of in a mini way kind of iconic.
Yeah.
Because it's the only niche in that industry over there in that area. So I think you've got to think pretty seriously about how much have you got to lose in terms of your clients. Would it confuse your clients? How far along in the business are you? And what would the impact be of the rebrand?
Okay, so she just said, I'm 3 years into the freelance mindset and I want to do a totally different offering but the same industry. So I suppose it's like it's a pivot, isn't it? And a coach asked me once, is like, well, if you just said, because I've been freelancing for 3 years, but you hate it, but what you want to go and do, you're going to love it, and you're just going to feel better as a person over there, then those are your answers as well. We're just going to go on to another question. This is a really good one. Nat, your necklace is amazing, and your hair, you're so on trend. Hashtag.
I read that.
Thanks, Donna.
Thanks, Donna. What about me?
Okay, but Donna has a question which is cool because it's one that we were going to talk about. What's your end game with the We Network in years to come? So you could talk a little bit about what's happening now, and actually answer the question, or should I?
Yeah. And I think that is a great question because it comes back down to everyone's got to have that long-term vision.
Yeah.
And for me, it was always to have an impact at a grassroots level. And for as many people as possible. And it's so hard talking about, chasing the next shiny opportunity. And also with there are so many options. I could do courses, I could do masterminds, I could do this, I could do that, and everyone wants all of it because they all want more support. And but essentially what we is we as the community, and that's the heart of it for me. So initially I think what I would love to see being built more and more is this nationwide platform where every woman in New Zealand feels like they've got someone or people to lean on in their local area, as well as online. And it's the first rung on the ladder, and I still always want that to be the same. And maybe over time we will have events and more things that happen in terms of coaching and courses and all of that kind of thing. But they are additional products to the core product, which is the core product that I know people want now.
That's
so
cool.
I'm just going to build on the membership and continue to grow it and continue to hone it and make it better so that it is a better experience for people, because it's still evolving and it's still so young and so new, and I'm still putting the systems in place, and we were talking about that before as well, how to deal with that when you are going into having a baby and I have to pull out and I'm not going to be able to do so many hours and that kind of thing. So it's going to be an interesting time in the next 12 months.
Yeah. So another part of the question was, do you have any other business goals or ideas you want to pursue once you step aside, or?
Yeah, all sorts.
Who doesn't?
It's
have
funny
those
because
I don't.
It is, and it's one of those things where, like I was saying before, you don't know what you don't know. And before I started I didn't know that I was quite so passionate about messaging and learn storytelling and sharing your story and helping engage your customers by being relatable to them, and all of those kind of things that I've learned so much about from the impact that I've had with We so quickly. So I love that side of it, and I would love to be able to speak to startup business owners more. So and I'm still learning and reading all the time. Like, one of the things that I see a lot of you do is you'll be thinking about the overwhelm of thinking, it's a whole nother new thing for me to learn. Honestly, if you're a solopreneur, get over that, because it doesn't actually take you that long to learn how to do a lot of these things.
No.
Someone might say, I don't want to learn how to do MailChimp, or I don't want to learn how to do this or that. And I can understand that. And if you've got the budget to hand it over to someone else, that's great, as long as it's at the right time for your business to do that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just
I love
learn
self-taught.
it. I've read so many books, and I'm still reading so many books, and still learning and honing so much what makes me different and what my core skills are and what has made this community work, because it's hard to look.
That'd be cool when you find out.
Yeah. So that's a bit of a journey.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I would definitely create some sort of product based on that I would be able to, sell online or whatever. There's so many things I could do.
Okay. Top 3 mistakes you see women in startups making?
Focusing too much on getting new customers instead of spending their time nurturing their existing customer base.
Yeah, nice.
That's probably one of the first. And second would be messaging. They're not 100% sure of what makes them different to the next provider down the road, and there will be a difference. It's just that they might not have figured out how to communicate that yet, or actually what that difference is. So that would be the second one, get your messaging right. What makes you different and special, and why should I choose you over your competitor? And thirdly, not focusing enough on sales, I guess.
Yay!
Which is your thing. Woo! Yeah. So actually, remembering that you have to, send the email to get the sale, or nurture the lead to get the sale, or, we all do it.
Yeah.
I've been sitting on opening the membership up again. I think I told you guys. I was supposed to do another launch at the beginning of, actually now, I was supposed to be
The doors are open.
Yeah.
We're launching.
they're not open.
They're not.
No.
Joking. Go ahead. There's a wait list.
But they will be soon. But everyone does it, and I do it. And for me, it was a personal decision, and I just thought, actually, I'm going to back off on that. And I did the same at Christmas because I had such bad morning sickness. I was supposed to launch before Christmas, and I just thought, actually, I can't do it, and it's not worth the stress.
Yeah.
So I put it off. So I guess, knowing, the other thing actually that women aren't great at doing is
Top
targets.
5 mistakes.
Sorry,
No,
don't make
good.
these mistakes. Don't do this. Like, give yourself a financial target.
Yeah.
I know it's so hard. I talk about this quite a lot because I've made the mistake so much with Kiwi Oz. We were too scared to set financial targets because we knew we weren't going to meet them. And that's the reality of it. And yet, when you figure it out and you think, oh, man, I'm going to hit that target, it's like, wow, this is kind of the magic of business. Like, it's worth persisting. And if you're setting yourself targets, think to yourself, is this achievable in the time that I've got, with the skills that I've got?
Oh, yeah.
And don't set yourself $100,000 in 12 months if you're going to have to learn absolutely everything, or you've only got $1,000 to spend on your business. It's going to be really hard to do that. But maybe you could set yourself $100,000 in 3 years and build up to that. So which means only $25,000 in your first year. How am I going to get those clients? How am I going to make those sales? And how am I going to nurture that? Or, so it's just all about that working backwards.
I think that's so important too, to set yourself targets on. I thrive on that, and so do you.
You are actually, but you're probably a bigger goal setter than me. Like, you go right in.
If I don't set targets, then I'm like, will I work today? Yeah. So I set them, and then it's just such a, oh my God, I'm going to get there. And then when I do it, and then I surpass it, I'm just like, I'm not working next month.
So actually, you answered the top 5 tips, really, which was cool. We did it in a backwards way, which is how we roll around here, which I think is awesome.
That's right.
I think that while you were having a baby, you could write a book. Don't be selfish. Write a book so we can buy it.
I'll just tell you all the books to read. It's probably easier.
Yeah.
Read this one.
Actually, that's a good question. What are the good books to read? For entrepreneurs.
I just want to thank the guests who've come on, and Sophie and yourself, for just to reiterate what Pauline and I tell our prospective clients in our messaging, because it's just, I think it's really nice to be able to hear the same thing in a different way from different people, so that you do have that support, and so you do think, I do know what I'm doing, because I heard Rach say it, then I heard Pauline, then Nat, and then da-da-da, and so that we can all, as that community, probably run together.
Yeah.
It's so good to have you with us. Our time's up, and
You're really hard work though.
I want to talk to you for more. I'm like, we should do 2 hours, but time's up. Now, one thing I've got to mention, and I haven't told Nat this, but I'm actually speaking.
Oh yeah, cool.
Next week in an event, so I just need to quickly talk about it because I'm so terrible at doing my own social media. So I'm doing a workshop. Cool. Where am I? Yeah, I'm doing a workshop. It's called the Social Media and Hootsuite Certification. So Hootsuite is the platform that you use for your social media, so you can use Twitter and Facebook. So we're going to do an official Hootsuite certification. It's a full day. It's really good. You'll learn social media strategy, practical skills, and you will get your Hootsuite certification as well. So it's kind of a really good platform to play with, especially if you're new to social media, or maybe you've been doing social media for 1 or 2 years and you're ready to take it to that next level. What's really cool is I will be there. Vicky Jeffels, I think.
Jeffels,
Yeah, sorry. And Jan Mayer is going to be running that
cool.
workshop. So that's on April the 12th, so that's next week. So
That's
book in
awesome,
if you want to
Pete.
ask me any more information.
It's wicked.
I know.
Rachel, is there any last words? Was there anything you want to jump back on
Any
the
final
soapbox?
Pixie caramel, is that what it was?
Yes, I was going to say that. I thought, no, that I'm just a bit of a dick, but you said it first. Yes. Is there anything that you'd like to...
Just thank you. Thank you to you guys for having me today. Thank you to everyone who's in our community, all those people that showed that early support in what we're doing and continue to show it today. It just blows me away how many incredible women there are in New Zealand doing incredible things for their communities, their families and their businesses, and you guys rock, and we can do it. And we can do it better if we do it together.
Oh, I love that.
Let's
Wow.
round of this. This is beautiful.
All right, so thank you guys.
Good show run. Thank
and
you.
we'll see you guys later.
Thanks, Andy, producer.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. He puts up with us.
He was over there. The hour goes fast, eh?
It does, yeah.